angry. And then our mental health starts to suffer. Because we're holding in so much negativity and toxic environments and people. Because we don't want to hear our business in the street, and we don't want people to rub it in our face because of our actions. So we hold it in, and then our emotions get out of control and our mental health suffers. And here comes depression. Here comes PTSD. Here comes addiction. Because I'm going to tell you what, being vulnerable, that's a big gamble. John 13:34-35 says, "A new command I give you, love one another as I have loved you. So you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another." Now, a lot of people, I respect the Church of the Latter-day Saints, and I respect the Jehovah's Witnesses, because people want to talk about it. I remember as a child, we used to hide from the Jehovah's Witnesses for real. You know, my mom would just close all the blinds and cut the lights off like we ain't home. No, we home. But these are some dedicated people. They's out on the corner, buses. You see them standing everywhere to share their version of the truth. Now, how many people you see at the Baptist church knocking on doors and standing on corners? I mean, I'm just asking. How many members of the New Bethlehem Aloysius Church of God in Christ do you see knocking on doors, inviting people to church, or standing on the corner? You know, but we call these people a cult. And the people that follow them, ignorant, foolish. But see, what they putting out there, people need. They're knocking on people's doors. Rain, sleet, snow, Christmas. To share their truth of the Bible. And if we see new people come into the church house, we don't speak. And if we have a reputation in the neighborhood, we got the mothers of the church lined up front, snarling their noses up. But see, when we walk in the church, we're supposed to be there to be loved on, to be shared the gospel with. But instead, it's judgment, ridicule, slander, gossip, disrespect. Oh, how much disappointment the Father has for the state of his people. Isaiah 41:10. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. And this is something that I do, especially when I'm vulnerable and things are getting a little bit too much. So do not fear, for I am with Christina. Do not be dismayed, for I am Christina's God. I will strengthen Christina and help Christina. I will uphold Christina with my righteous right hand. So as we talk about being vulnerable, not knowing what we're supposed to do. Let's remember Matthew 26, 37 and 39. Jesus demonstrates an amazing example of how to be vulnerable in this passage right here. But we are imperfect people, right? We're imperfect people, and we are afraid to be vulnerable because of what comes along with being vulnerable. So Matthew 26, 37 through 39 says in the New King James Version, "And he took with him Peter and 2 sons of Zebedee, and he began to be sorrowful and deeply distressed. Then he said to them, 'My soul is exceedingly sorrowful, even to death. Stay here and watch with me.' And he went a little farther and fell on his face and prayed, saying, 'O my Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will.'" So, this is Jesus, okay? Jesus knew what he was coming to do. But even though he knew what he was born to do, the flesh, human side, was vulnerable. He was sorrowful. He was distressed. It says not just distressed, but deeply distressed. And he went and he prayed to the Father, saying, "If it is possible," that means if you can get somebody else, "let this cup pass from me. But if you don't, not as I will, but as you will." So how does that look to us today? "O Father, my soul is exceedingly sorrowful, even to death." This is what I should be saying to my friends, my brothers and sisters in the church, because see, this is what Jesus said to Peter, his disciples, 3 of them. And he wanted them to watch with him. And this is important. So then Jesus falls on his face and he prayed, "Oh, my Father, if it is possible, man, if you can get somebody else, let this cup pass from me. Let me not have to be crucified. But if not as I will, but as you will." So while Jesus was sitting here pouring out his heart, as he was crying, sorrowful, and he prayed this more than once. He prayed this a total of 3 times. On his face, crying out. And the brothers that he brought with him that were supposed to be watching, they were asleep. Just sleep. Just like Jonah on that boat, sleep. And then he asked Peter, "Could you not watch with me 1 hour? Watch and pray, lest you enter into temptation." Imagine if we as believers would pray for each other, watch over each other. I can imagine there wouldn't be that, man, it wouldn't be so many people taking their lives. But instead, the shepherds are leading the sheep to slaughter. Because everybody wants a nice message, a nice word. They don't want to be held accountable. They don't want nobody telling them the truth about their lifestyle. They don't want nobody telling them the truth about all that makeup they got on. And the skirts is tight. And they ain't coming up in their stiletto heels. They don't want to hear that. But see, this is how we get in trouble, just like the disciples got in trouble. So Jesus came to him and said, what? Could you not watch with me for 1 hour? He asked them for 1 hour. And they were asleep. So a second time he went away and he prayed, oh, my Father, if this cup cannot pass away. Then he come back. They sleep again. They just tired, y'all. So he left them again. And he prayed the third time. Then he came back to his disciples, and this is in verse 45. Then he came to his disciples and said to them, are you still sleeping and resting? Behold, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is being betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us be going. See, my betrayer is at hand. So then he's betrayed and arrested by one of his disciples. Judas brought the people to him. He sold him out for 30 pieces. And just like he said to Peter, Peter went into temptation. He cut off one of the soldiers' ears. He denied him 3 times. So there is a place for vulnerability in our lives. The vulnerability is, Father, if it is possible, can you please help me wait until you have found the woman or the man for me, my wife, my husband. Father, if you could please sustain me until my finances come through. Father, if you could please help me make me over so that I'm not sitting here over and over and over worrying about what that doctor said to me. But could you please help me know that you are God and that in everything is in your hands and that I am healed and whole. And if I'm not healed and whole, sustain me. Sustain me. Help me. And let's flip it to the other side, right? If we said, Father, if you could please touch my family, bring healing from generation to generation so that there are no more teen pregnancies, that there's no more incest, that there's no more sexual molestation, that there's no more adultery, that there's no more. Please, Father, from generation to generation, please help us. Imagine how our world would be. Imagine. Oh, if we would only be vulnerable to the Lord. Because see, that's what it's about.